What is up, guys? Evan Aldo here. I'm going to give you an analysis, kind of an update in Bitcoin. There's a really close similarity in the first cycle to August of 2016 that is shockingly similar so far. I want to show you that, especially with this wick down. I'll show you in a second on the other chart, comparing it to the beginning of August drop down, and then this one, and then we'll get into Ethereum and some other coins and some potential trades here. I'm in a few, kind of longs at the moment right now, trying to, kind of ride up the jump off of this spider line. I think most likely that will work. If you guys want more info on that, check out the Discord down below, and always appreciate you guys smashing the like button if you enjoy the content. So yeah, let's get right into it. So look right here. We had this first big, crash down, drop down right here, beginning of August. Now we're seeing a little bit more of a drop down, but we're hitting the spider line right at 56, 57K. Look right here. This was our drop down beginning of August of 2016, August 2nd, a few days before in that cycle. And then August 15th, though. What day is it today? It's August 15th. Drop down. That was your bottom there. Then you slowly, it's shockingly similar to 2016. Now, is it exact? Does this mean 100%, we're going to just, recover and come all the way back there? No, but even with the bull div forming, you had that bull div forming. It wasn't the best money flow back there, but similar situation. You have a bull div potentially starting to form here. Well, it wouldn't be a true, it would not be a true bull div because you're making a higher high there. But I mean, still, it's something. Looks it's a similarity. It's a similarity, and if we let's look at a few of the other charts to kind of give us an idea of what the odds are of that happening. This trigger wave brought us up a little bit higher. This new one forming, you got the money flow going against you. It's coming out. I would say based on some of these larger time frames, they would indicate when you have money flow coming down and you have like VWAP coming up, it would indicate neutral to slightly more bearish, but kind of sideways I'm feeling for a little bit. Maybe a little bit of more of a sideways thing, maybe a boring couple weeks into September or something, and then potentially jumping forward. I mean, I'm not saying you can't, lose this level and come all the way back down to 49K, maybe double bottom, maybe even lose this, come down to 45K. It's absolutely possible. But when I look at some of these lower time frames, your money flow is definitely not good, but you're getting some things. I mean, money flow is starting to look good in your 5 hour, your 4 hour. There's arguments to be made for coming up a little bit here. Are they the strongest arguments? No. But if you can get, this bull div, this is a bull div forming on a 90-minute here, as you see money flows coming down, there are arguments to be made. And then if we look at our real short time frames here, like our 20-minute, you're trying to form a trigger wave. It's choppy. It's weird. It's not it's a little bit of a different environment than we've been in since this trying to drop down. But there's a shot we could hold this level. Definitely a shot we could hold this level. I know I don't sound like the most confident, but I mean, other than that, if you're trying to short this, you short the blood diamond, that would be your first take profit there. Your next take profit, if you lose this area, in all likelihood, you probably will. There's probably some hope at 54, but you probably will go back down to 50K. Tough to say. It's a weird situation here, but I would kind of, especially on that 90-minute bull div or 2 hour bull div, same thing. Your money flow is not the best, but potentially jumping upward. Now, the trade setup, I did take, this trade, if you saw the live stream before, something of this nature, trying to get back up to these areas probably, could do well. You could do really low risk, high reward, try to jump up higher. If you guys know me, I usually don't go any crazier than 3 to 1. I would just make the stop loss more lenient or whatever in that situation. But I think it could be a good gamble to try to come upward a little bit more here. Are we losing? We're losing VWAP again. So we came above it. We're losing it. Getting a little jump here, tough to really say exactly, but I would lean a little bit more bearish at the moment, especially with that comparison to 2016, bullish, especially with that comparison to 2016, but I could be just feeling the hopium a little bit too much. Could be feeling the hopium a little bit too much. Ethereum, same situation, we're hitting that spider line, trying to come up here. We came up perfectly. I would say it's above a 50% chance, or at least slightly above a 50% chance that we can keep going. You're never going to go straight up. You came down, corrected a little bit, and now you're hopefully going to continue that ascent forward. Money flow coming up on your 2-day, not the most bearish of market, not the worst market. You got a deeper wave right here. This was interesting, comparing it to August of 23. That's another interesting comparison. So your low was in, but you did come down to kind of retest that low and make a slightly lower low 2 other times. So if you see that situation, we would probably come down farther, bounce around these low areas. Then maybe that would be interesting. Maybe start the second half of this, major run up or something. It would take longer in January 2025, but yeah, I could see. That is probably too optimistic to say 6,000 before May of 2025, but some situation like this following the spiral line, I could absolutely see, a top at 7 to 8K. Lower end would be somewhere around there, but I'm looking at that spiral line for a potential top, but that's to be seen. Obviously, if we look at lower time frames, like I mentioned, similar to Bitcoin, I would be more confident if we're starting to see, now money flow is not good, but if this can curve up a little bit more with that VWAP, there would be a stronger case to be made, especially to continue forward here. If we can keep coming forward, it could be like that August of 2016 area, especially with Bitcoin. Potentially getting up to our big point. There's a CME gap, I believe, at 3K. We might get there end of this month, early next month, if we can continue forward here. Tough to say. I think there's a good shot, though. I think there's a decent shot at it. Solana, obviously, a good coin to always look at. I drew some spider lines in Solana. Hit that one perfectly today, so that's pretty interesting there. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but that bull div forming in the 2-hour, like I was mentioning on Bitcoin, there could be definitely some hope here. We came up there on the 20-minute. Now we're starting to come back down. So been a little range bound between this area. Gapped our size trying to come up there. If we could form that bull div on that daily, now that's interesting. From there to the wick, you could kind of call it a bull div if we do get that, but probably not the strongest one. The 2-day looks decent. The 3-day trigger wave forming, but your money flow is not good. So a little bit more neutral, very neutral of a market at the moment. But look, using good risk-reward ratios, knowing what you're doing with trading, obviously you don't need to win every trade to make money. Just stick with your strategy, stick with things that generally, work well, and fight through these, kind of tough to read times, I should say, a little bit here. Money flow does look a little bit concerning on Solana there, though, but you got a shot of holding these levels and continuing forward potentially. And if we look at, Cardano, for example, just to show you guys another one, that same thing like I was mentioning on Bitcoin. You came down, now you're retesting this kind of big point right around 32 cents. Can you jump here? You might. I'm not going to say you will, but you might. You got a shot. For a lot of these, you got a shot, definitely a shot of jumping. You look at that 90-minute, some of these time frames just looks like, you're just like, it's kind of like choppy, weird. You came back down in the red now. Are you going to lose this area? The area we're at for everything we want to hold, that's the big thing to mention. We want to hold this spiral line. That's probably the most important thing for the bulls right now. If we make that lower low, it does seem likely. There is hope, like I mentioned, at 54, but it does seem likely to go down to 50. So yeah, if we look at Bitcoin dominance, that is coming down a little bit. That's definitely coming down a little bit. And I think on the day choppy, but generally looking a little bit more bearish at the moment. It's, altcoins aren't really outperforming Bitcoin throughout that. For example, they all look atrocious against Bitcoin, and I think we need to at least get, the Fed to pivot before a lot of these really, decisively start to outperform Bitcoin. Double bottom right there in Cardano. I would assume it probably will come down a little bit more. I think a lot of these alts will really start to outperform Bitcoin when Bitcoin makes a true new all-time high, when Bitcoin hits that 75K. Just because adjusted for inflation, our all-time high at 73.8K was not a true all-time high. You would need to get to about 75K adjusted for inflation. And then when we did make a new all-time high in the last bull run, December of 2020, this is when alts really, they bottomed out before December of 2020, but this is when alts really went crazy against Bitcoin, and Bitcoin dominance really went down. So I feel like that's one of the things not too many people are talking about that could really give us a clue. December of 2020. So when can Bitcoin make that 75K? The last thing I'll show you here, when can we hit that 75K? Let's say we dilly-dally a little bit, you know, October, November. It's the earliest I'm seeing is probably November. You know, latest I'm seeing would be probably January or February. You know, and depending how long this takes. You know, it could take time, but November to February is when I would see that. So, I mean, for alts, if you're DCAing, cool. I mean, they can come up quickly. You know, they could come up quickly against Bitcoin, especially if we look at ETH Bitcoin. I mean, in all likelihood, this is going to do extremely well, you know, against Bitcoin in, you know, 2025, just like it did very well you know, starting in 2021. You know, just straight up, look at that. That was, you know, a nice 200% against Bitcoin. I mean, hopefully, I would assume we could at least get 100% against Bitcoin, 50 to 100%, which would be great. So that's what I'm looking at right now. I mean, this bull div forming on the 2-week probably could help us out. This one was a dud. We came down lower, but you know, sometimes the ones that are a dud, you know, it'll eventually, what'll happen, it's a dud, but it'll come up, you know, it'll eventually come up higher there. So yeah, and if you guys are interested in trading, interested in checking out the Discord, where I post a lot of really good trade steps, entry points, take profits, stop losses, obviously not right all the time, but we have a good community in there. We got Nightshade, great analyst. We got KMac, great analyst as well in there. If you guys are interested in that, check it out. Link is in the description below. If you want one free month in there, if you sign up to any exchanges down below, BloFin, FAIRDESK, or Bybit, and deposit at least $100, I'll give you one free month in the Discord. Just open a support ticket with your UID once you do that. All right, guys, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Have a good one. I'll see you guys soon. Goodbye.